This is the reflective e-journal for Edad 766A. Questions about parent engagement and community engagement. So one of the questions is, how will you create a culture of trust and mutual respect that staff families feel supported in sharing diverse thinking and ideas and problems? So first of all, one area that I would work on in order to create and just facilitate this culture of trust and mutual respect is outreach. So people don't share ideas unless they have a platform to share these ideas. So I feel that it's very important to communicate with staff members, communicate with families, guardians often, frequently, in order to provide outreach. So in order to create these different spaces for parents to actually share their ideas. As a school leader, what I have seen in the past is principals or assistant principals who have kind of like coffee hours in the morning. So what they would do is regularly, maybe like once a month, they would have a communication cafe, or they would have, a communication time where they would provide, coffee or like light refreshments. And parents were welcome to the school to come and just sort of meet with the principal or meet with the leader. Sometimes there'd be a topic of conversation that they would focus on. Sometimes it would be kind of mostly just question and answer. But that could be a really great grounds for parents to provide information or just provide feedback or to pose questions to school leadership that needs to be addressed. Another area of communication would be just to ask. So a lot of times parents feel that they're not heard because nobody really asks them their opinions. And so I would really try my best to facilitate communication, facilitate emails, phone calls, really try to build the communication between the school and our parent and guardian communities. I feel staff also need this too. So staff also need a platform to share different ideas or to share different feedback. Again, a lot of people don't share what they're thinking or how things are going because they're not asked. And while it is challenging to create that culture of I guess teamwork basically is what it really comes down to between school leadership and also school staff and teachers and faculty. But that is that culture of trust and that culture of, really providing time for feedback is something that, like I said, takes a long time. But once it's manifested, once it's facilitated, it really does pay off to have teachers be fully vested in maybe a direction that a school is going or a direction that a leadership team is going. We really need to understand that we can't do any of this without our staff and our teachers. And so they definitely need to be very important stakeholders who are bought into whatever vision or whatever goals you have as a school leader. One other question is, what steps would I take to ensure that all stakeholders are heard? So one aspect of being a parent to my own child is having the lens of her school and what they do in order to provide this space and provide these platforms for parents to provide their input or provide their questions or their insight. And one thing that I would really do is I would try to create these platforms or create these spaces that are tailored towards parents, where maybe a coffee time at 9 a.m. on Friday would work for my schedule. I know that, where we are in the Bay Area, a lot of parents work. And so afternoons and evenings are probably the best way to facilitate this communication to make sure that everybody's heard. I definitely know the importance because we have a very diverse student community and population here at Thornton Middle School. I know that interpreters and translators are very valuable when it comes to having communication relayed to our parents and for not letting voices be unheard due to language barriers or due to maybe time constraints. We know that there are a ton of parents who are working two jobs. We know there are single parents. I know that a lot of schools can sometimes provide childcare to parents. It's not so much of a problem here at the secondary because our kids are a bit older, but certainly at elementary school and some of the lower levels, that becomes a really big piece of the conversation if we want to have parents actively involved in these nights while they're also, on for being a parent and taking care of their children. So that would be a way that I would definitely make sure that all stakeholders are heard and that parents know that their voices really truly matter. Surveys are another great way to do this as well. If I'm looking for feedback or communication that, an email or a survey or something written would suffice. But a lot of times it really, and especially at the secondary level, a lot of times the goal is really to get parents and communities on campus. A lot of times parents, feel that since their child's getting older, they're in middle school, they're in secondary, kids are really moving away from their parents and moving more towards friendships. And really priorities are realigning. A really big push in middle school school, and it should be in high school too, is to have these parent communities still come to the school, and to really build that connection, because it is important, even though their students are getting older. It's more academic focused, it's more socially focused, but it is very important to still communicate with all of our parent groups, hold events where parents can come, they can see the school site leadership, they can see teachers, they can see their kids having fun, with their friends, and maybe volunteer, or have a parent night. There's some creative ideas where we could do a family night in order to, hold meetings with parents. The students can be supervised, but then maybe school site leadership would also have a meeting with parents. So those are just some creative ways to still build the connection between school and home for a lot of our families, and especially because we have such a large school as well. That connection is still very important. Another question was, what's a specific strategy you use to solve a problem, and what did you learn about yourself and your leadership style? I would say a problem at school that maybe I've had in the past is just miscommunication with a teacher. And really what strategy has helped is being able to, I guess, show empathy or to show compassion. So to be able to put myself in another person's shoes or another person's perspective, and understand that not everybody's going to have my perspective, and that that's okay. There should be some common goals and some shared vision. However, that's achieved through multiple meetings. That's achieved through multiple stakeholders and voices being heard. So I would definitely say, being direct with people and making sure that my communication is clear and concise. However, also being able to look at situations through other people's eyes and through their perspectives as well. Another problem that has arisen is maybe disagreement with a parent or with a guardian about the consequences that maybe their students have earned. And what I really try to do there as well is really show compassion, really show some empathy, understanding where people are coming from. However, also withholding what is right and what decisions are made through the team. So I think that it is very challenging sometimes to really walk that fine line between being direct and having a vision and having a goal and being concise, while also showing that you can still listen to other people and you can still have other ideas or other outcomes being heard as well. And while that is challenging sometimes, it is definitely valuable, especially when conflicts arise or when problems occur. Another great strategy is just to take a partner and to make sure that there's other people maybe involved who can help out with a situation, or who could help provide some more insight into a situation. But really building that, it really goes back to building that trust and building that mutual connection with the staff, that mutual trust, that mutual connection with the parent and family populations, and really earning the right to be heard and to be trusted through actions and decisions that school site leadership makes.